RPG 그대로의 RPG 불멸의 전사 2.
Will be the only chance where their throne can be dethroned. Like they will,
The throne can be dethroned.
Not the best wording there, but yeah, like someone could take that title away from them in the playoffs. But if you go 6-0 and you have, at worst case scenario, a plus 13 indicator, there's no one that can deny that you're actually the best team right now. That's just, I mean, there's like
It's really exciting to see
statistical evidence.
It's so exciting to see how well Jin Air's actually doing. They just seem to have the right mentality coming in here. It's not just about having a bunch of strong players. It's about knowing who to bring out when, what strategies to give them, how to have the team train together to really get that team spirit up and ready. And I still think Jin Air has a very good chance of taking this, despite the very lackluster performance from Creator early on.
I think it's we got to take a look at this. Like, this is HyuN's first time playing Pro League in a long time. He's played 151 games in total in his career, longer than more often than ByuL has. In fact, if you look at the records. But this is his first time this year, and ByuL has a lot more experience in recent times. 11 games played this season. But HyuN is a great player. He's one of the smartest DBZ players that we've had in, just in the history of Starcraft 2 since Wings of Liberty.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's got a really cool build planned. ByuL is still the favorite, though. You can't deny that.
HyuN is an interesting player because he was one of the few players that was traveling around the world dominating, while all the other Koreans are back in the motherland competing in tournaments like this one or GSL. But HyuN could take this. ByuL's a very strong player, but definitely don't count HyuN out. HyuN is a very smart player, but this is not necessarily his forte. Is playing one game to make the results for his teams. He was much better in a lot more of these stamina organized tournaments. These tournaments where you're playing for 2 or 3 days, 10 hours, hacking your way through nerds to slowly climb your way to the top. This is a different beast. That's why I went for ByuL here. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, HyuN is the open bracket slayer. That's what he's been known for. When he was on Rocket, he traveled the world,
right,
and knocked people out of the open bracket, destroyed their dreams of that dream hack. And if you look at the votes here, Monday Caster and Kanata go for HyuN, and he does come up with some really sick ZVZ builds for 1v1s, but I think the experience of ByuL, I had to go with that overall. His experience in Pro League this season, I was on his side.
All right, let's get ready. The game is up and ready to go. ByuL versus HyuN, game number 2 in tonight's Pro League 2016. All right, in the upper right, in the yellow, our Zerg player, it is ByuL. And in the bottom left, in the green, HyuN.
The second of 2 Jin Air players often not fielded to come out to try to prove themselves against a multi-time finalist. Top Zerg from last year in ByuL here for HyuN in his case versus one of the top pro S's last year in Hero, which is where Creator was. So, like, 2 tough matches, and HyuN's first matchup this year versus ByuL, a bit unlucky, I guess you could say.
Now note, he sent his drone out. HyuN did very, very early to check and see if there's going to be a hatch here. He may attempt to do a block right there. We do see that ByuL has hidden a drone of his own inside the main. It's waiting for HyuN's drone to go up into the main, and then he'll run around that and try to plant that hatchery. And
this is like so strategic what we're seeing from both players. HyuN should still be able to block this because he sees it.
No,
he turns too late.
Yep, he's going to be able to get it down. No problemo.
Smart moves on both sides. You can see both players' experience in this matchup, and they know the little mind game that goes on with the hatchery block on this 2-player map. Really cool to see stuff like that. That's some of my favorite parts of StarCraft. It's just these intricacies in mind games, and even reaction time favored into that, because I feel if HyuN had turned immediately, he still would have gotten the block off, but he was like a second too late, and that allows the hatchery to go down.
Okay, so the game will continue onward. We're going to have the hatchery for HyuN finishing just slightly quicker, but I think that the handling there by ByuL was pretty good. He also has mined a little bit more gas. We'll see what kind of role that might play later on here. If he wants to go for layer, or perhaps just keep pumping up his ground army this is a map where ZVZ can go for a pretty long time, actually.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting, too, is he's mined almost 200 gas without starting speed, and this is something that HyuN was able to scout right now, so HyuN's kind of really curious right now, what is the plan? What's coming out here? I mean, now he's over 200. He also saw that ByuL kept 3 drones in gas the entire time, so this is starting to look like a lair build coming out from ByuL. Like, HyuN, as you mentioned, he got his gas much later, but he actually started speed immediately. This is very intentional, most likely, although, as I say it, okay, no, he didn't start that. I thought it did for a second. Nope.
No, he's still making his queen for now.
Yeah, he's still not getting that, actually. When the observer jumped in, I thought it was started, but nope.
All right, here it goes. The layers started up now.
Yeah, there you go. That's what I was expecting. He's got the ramp blocked here as well. 4 Zerglings should do the trick. The queen going to secure that as well. Oh, just needs to make sure he's on the right spot. Okay, close call there.
Good blocking there by ByuL. And now we're going to see if, in fact, this is going to be any offense coming here from HyuN. He is getting the Baneling's Nest. He's getting the speed. But Baneling's Nest doesn't always point towards aggression. Occasionally, you'll see that used just for defensive purposes, just so that he can hold off maybe Baneling attacks from his opponent.
Yeah, with the lair, or not the lair, excuse me, the drones coming up with the Baneling Nest finishing and the 2 extra gases, I think we're just going to see a lair from HyuN. I think your assessment of what this could be actually is going to come true. Like 2 defensive Banelings being morphed, you're spot on the money. Not even scared of the Baneling Nest being scouted because he knows he's just using it defensively, but this is a tough spot for HyuN because he doesn't know what he's up against. He sees a Roach Warren and an Evo Chamber at the front. This is all just kind of fake. And I think we're going to see a Spire get planted very soon for ByuL. Although, as I say, he really is committed to this. This is not really in the meta right now to just simply go for a build that we used to see all the time on this map in Heart of the Swarm, which is to get double Evo Chambers and get upgrades off of a quick lair. This is kind of out of the meta, so HyuN really has to think about this and come to a conclusion as to what he suspects is really going on there. And without a scouting overlord in the main, it's really tough for him to actually figure out what he's up against. He's going for a 3rd base right now. Gets his own Roach Warren.
Yeah, I'm interested if we're gonna have like some kind of tactical Roach play that looks exactly like what ByuL's gonna be going for here. He's actually leaving his base now. He's heading out with these Roaches now. +1's about halfway finished here. 6 more Roaches on the way. Now HyuN is taking a 3rd base here. And one issue on this map specifically is that it's hard to hold both the 2nd and the 3rd. It's really, really tricky because they're spread out enough from each other. Occasionally you could send a small army to attack part of the 3rd and then run into the main, for instance. A lot of Lings is going to be the answer right now from HyuN. He's making a ton of these right now, and he already has a couple Banelings out. He may try to get a Ling surround here, or possibly even a Ling counterattack, because we know inevitably ByuL is going to need to get a 3rd base of his own. He's
going to be able to threaten, these Roaches to turn around with these Lings several times to buy himself enough time to get more Roaches out. But what he's not going to have is +1 or speed for a long time. He's just going to have to try to slow this down so he can get his Roach numbers up. And good control here by ByuL, really locking these Lings out and even almost trapping them there briefly.
Yeah, he's zoned them out pretty well, and he's taking the gold base, which is quite interesting. Although HyuN did expand more quickly here, that gold base is going to reap a lot more benefits. Now, of course, the gold base, even harder to defend, okay? You have a much tougher time trying to hold a position like this, but the question is HyuN in any position to exploit that? If you look at ByuL's base, his 2nd base, I should say, back at home, it looks pretty secure. That doesn't seem to be able to be hit. But he's also, we have Ravagers coming into play right now. It looks like he wants to go Ling Ravager and try to hit him at that point in time. Maybe even put some Banelings in with the rest of his army.
Yeah, he just wants to basically, he knows he's never going to have the Roach speed. That's just not something he can access right now, and he's not going to have the attack upgrade, so he's going to try to defend with AoE. This base is not even mining, mind you. And here come the Lings. If he can surround these Roaches, then he can get the Corrosive Vials off. That's what he's hoping for here.
Yeah, it looks like he might be able to thin out those Roaches. He's going to move down here. And it's going to be HyuN in pursuit right now of ByuL. ByuL in the chase. Excuse me, ByuL on the run. Excuse me, HyuN on the chase here.
And that was a good little attempt there. If he could trap these and lock them down, it's almost like a mini fungal growth, and then the Corrosive Vials go down. Really cool idea for HyuN, and now he takes a lead in army supply. And if he finds out about this gold base, he may actually just simply be able to attack it and destroy it, because as you mentioned, it's very far away. It's very exposed here. It looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to move up this ramp, heading towards that base right now, using the Corrosive Vials to zone.
Okay, he's backing up, though. And this may just be too much here. I mean, the number of roaches here for ByuL is not looking very appealing. He's actually got him zoned out here. There are Banelings along with this army. I think HyuN might be able to take this game.
Yeah, it looks like it, man. All these Lings and the Banes going to help zone. And look at this. He just pushes him down the ramp. This base is totally cut off, but he wants to kill the army instead. He's on the chase. Baneling's not even being able to connect, but it's just too many roaches here. Or rather, I should say Ravagers for HyuN.
Yeah, he's trying to get some more roaches to pop out. There's 36 more Lings. He wants to get the Lings out because they can connect more easily. But we do have reinforcements coming in here from the bottom. The problem, though, for ByuL is that he's having to run and dodge these corrosive vials, occasionally failed dodges, while the Ravagers are still dealing damage. Now, every Ravager is pretty precious right now. It's a lot that HyuN has invested in here, but it looks like he should be able to get this base.
Yeah, and every time the roaches have to dodge a corrosive vial, it means they can't attack because they're on move command. So it really works out the DPS. Oh, 6 snipe on the retreat using the corrosive vial to secure the hatch snipe. And now we can actually saturate his third base. There go the drones. They're going to come in here. It's now safe. And he's up a hatchery, and ByuL, yeah, he got roach speed earlier, he got the +1 and even +2. Now, for his roaches is complete, but even being 2 upgrades down, he may just be overwhelmed by the economy and extra larva that HyuN has to offer here.
Yeah, it's a pretty scary game. Now, let's keep in mind, neither player was using the additional base for a while. Only just now has HyuN done this, and I think this is one of the big highlights of why HyuN is such a good player, is he actually saved that. He made, essentially, ByuL feel a little bit uncomfortable. He made ByuL feel like he had to be a bit more the aggressor, but really, HyuN was keeping up with ByuL that entire game back there. Now, we're finally at the point in time where the Ravagers of ByuL can actually start to become a factor here. Note also, the third base is being taken again right now by ByuL in that gold base location. Now, he does have enough Ravagers. Maybe it's going to be a little bit more uncomfortable for HyuN to try to get up here. HyuN's army much more Ling heavy, whereas the rest of the army here for ByuL, it's mostly just roaches and Ravagers and a few queens.
Don't forget that HyuN sees this. He's got an Overlord on top of it. What he can do with his Ravager heavy army is just sit behind the gold mineral line and drop corrosive vials on the minerals themselves to kill the drones or to force them to stop mining. So he has an army that could really put a real hindrance to the ability to mine. For ByuL, look, he's actually, I think he's thinking about it, because he knows all he has to do is be behind that mineral line, drop corrosive vials, and even the Ravagers have a larger range, so they could hit those drones from the low ground.
The other problem is that they're very close in supplies right now, but the drones are going to be mining from that other base. Is he actually going to get the rest of his army over here? Now, with the Lings being as fast as they are here for HyuN, he can always try to outposition his opponents, and that's exactly what he's going to be doing right now, except that good blocking there by ByuL.
He's just got so many Lings to force these roaches back. The corrosive vials, again, going to be the key here for HyuN. He needs to connect those to win this fight. Is the Lings around coming from the right side as well?
Continuing to come down right now. HyuN really trying to put the pressure on. But does ByuL have enough? He's coming in from 2 angles right now. I don't know if the Lings are enough. I think ByuL has done just a good enough job here. The Ravagers are too exposed. They have to get behind the Lings. The Lings need to tank for the Ravagers while the corrosive vials connect properly.
Looks like that's actually going to be the game, I think. If ByuL defends this, he takes a 50 supply lead.
That's
GG.
it. That was a very technical ZVZ. What a treat that was.
Yeah, and
really nicely done there by ByuL.
He's playing mind games from the beginning, rushes out a hatchery, shows all that extra gas, goes for a quick lair, but uses it for roach speed and not spire. And I think that game really shows why, like, overall roach compositions are, because they're like smaller and they can like get in there and do more DPS. As long as you can avoid corrosive vials, like, they're going to win out the fight. He also had the defender's advantage. He was coming from 2 angles.
Right.
That was a really cool game, and as you said, very technical.
Well, what's cool about it is that you can see that Ravager Ling is stronger early on. He does always get that third base. He takes out that third base no problem because the roaches are not swift enough, and especially with the Lings coming in from behind, as you were saying, well, he can actually block them off and then use the artillery from the roach corrosive vial and hit him there. However, as the game goes on for a longer point in time, eventually ByuL has his own Ravagers and his roaches. His roaches already stronger, and in the long run, he just wins the fight.
He also had his roaches, like he had them in 2 groups so he could stop the Ling run-bys. He was prepared for
really
that.
Good zoning there.
And he really just knew how to stop the composition of HyuN. And again, it's not a massive surprise here to me that HyuN loses this game versus someone who just has so much experience in these best of
But
ones.
I got to say, HyuN played really well. I mean, that was a tough one for me to make the call on this morning when we were doing our predictions here, because I've casted HyuN playing very, very well, and you certainly can't count him out. Coming up next, we are going to have a TVT. It's going to be Bunny versus Morrow, and we'll be getting to that after this short break, so stay tuned.